Right now, without knowing it, you are carrying approximately 38 trillion living organisms inside your body. They are eating, reproducing, dying, communicating with each other through chemical signals your brain cannot detect. And here is the part that should make you pause. Scientists are still not sure whether you control them or whether they control you. But that is not even the strangest part. The strangest part is what happens when you zoom out, when you stop looking at the organisms inside you and start looking at you from the outside, from the perspective of the planet itself. What do you look like then? You consume resources, you reproduce, you spread across surfaces, you alter the chemistry of the environment around you. You move from host to host, carrying information and organisms with you wherever you go. Sound familiar? Biologist David Quammen spent decades studying the way pathogens move through ecosystems. In his research into zoonotic spillover, the moment a virus leaps from one species to another, he noticed something uncomfortable. Every major outbreak in modern history followed the same pattern. And at the center of that pattern, every single time, was one species. You. This is not an insult. It is not a moral argument. It is a question worth sitting with. What if the category you have placed yourself in is wrong? What if you are not the host? What if you are the pathogen? For most of human history, your ancestors lived inside ecosystems. They were part of a web, not above it. A band of 30 people hunting across a stretch of savanna takes what it needs and keeps moving. The land recovers. The animals return. The balance holds. Ecologist William Rees coined a term for what happened next. He called it the ecological footprint. The idea is simple. Every species occupies a certain amount of planetary surface to sustain its lifestyle. Your ancestors, moving in small groups, had a footprint so small it was almost invisible. Then something changed. About 12,000 years ago, your ancestors stopped moving. They planted seeds, they penned animals, they built walls. And for the first time in human history, one species began modifying its environment on a permanent, irreversible scale. The land did not recover. The animals did not return. The balance began to shift. This is the agricultural revolution, and almost everything you were taught about it was framed as triumph. It was the dawn of civilization, the beginning of progress, the moment humanity rose above nature. But rise above is a revealing phrase. Because what does a virus do? It does not coexist with its host. It overtakes it. It rewrites the host's cellular machinery to serve one purpose: more of itself. Look at a map of human civilization from 10,000 years ago versus today. The forests that once covered 60% of the Earth's landmass now cover less than 30. Grasslands converted, wetlands drained, rivers rerouted, mountains hollowed out, oceans acidified. Not by any single catastrophe, by the slow, steady logic of a species that reproduces, spreads, and consumes. Virologist Carl Zimmer has written extensively about the nature of parasitism, the relationship between an organism and the system it depends on. His central observation is this: the most dangerous parasites are not the ones that kill their hosts quickly. Those go extinct alongside the host. The most dangerous parasites are the ones that are perfectly calibrated to extract maximum resources while keeping the host just alive enough to keep giving. Pause on that. Now think about the way your civilization has treated the biosphere. Not dead, not thriving, just functioning enough to keep producing. This is the part where most people want to argue. You are not a virus. You build hospitals. You write poetry. You love your children. You have culture, language, morality, conscience. And all of that is true. But here is what evolutionary biology would say in response. A virus does not choose to replicate. It has no consciousness, no malice, no intention. It simply does what its structure compels it to do. It follows the logic written into its chemistry. And what does your structure compel you to do? Seek resources, reproduce, build shelter, expand territory, avoid threats, consume energy. These are not moral failures. They are evolutionary imperatives, the same forces that drove your ancestors across continents, that filled every habitable niche on Earth with human populations, that built every empire and toppled every forest, are the forces encoded in your biology. You did not choose them, you inherited them. Biologist E.O. Wilson called this the bottleneck. He believed humanity was in the middle of a narrow passage, a period in which the evolutionary drives that made us successful are now threatening the very systems we depend on. The instincts that worked for 30 people on a savanna do not scale to 8 billion people sharing one biosphere. But here is where the comparison to a virus breaks down, and this matters. A virus cannot reflect on what it is doing. It cannot read a paper by William Rees and feel something tighten in its chest. It cannot sit with the discomfort of a question like this one. You can. And that might be the most important biological fact about your species. Every other organism on Earth operates on a closed feedback loop. Eat, reproduce, spread. If the population outstrips resources, the population collapses, and the system resets. This has happened across hundreds of millions of years of life on this planet. It is not a tragedy. It is ecology. But somewhere in the course of human evolution, a new capacity emerged. Consciousness, abstraction, the ability to model the future and choose differently based on what you see. No virus has ever changed its behavior because it ran a simulation and did not like the outcome. You can. You have already done it. In small, imperfect, insufficient, but real ways. You have created national parks. You have signed treaties. You have rewilded rivers. You have developed medicines that protect hosts rather than exhaust them. You have looked at the data on ocean acidification and atmospheric carbon and said, this is a problem we are causing and we need to stop. No virus has ever done that. So here is where the question lands. The behavior matches, the pattern matches, the footprint, the spread, the alteration of host systems. It all matches. By every ecological metric, your species is behaving like a very successful, very slow-moving pathogen. But the capacity does not match. No pathogen in the history of life on Earth has ever possessed the ability to recognize what it is doing and decide to become something else. That capacity is yours. It lives in the same brain that drives you to consume and expand. It lives right beside the instinct. And it is the only thing that separates the question from the answer. Tonight, you will breathe air that has been altered by the accumulated exhaust of 8 billion metabolisms. You will eat food grown on land that was once a forest. You will generate waste that the planet will be processing for centuries. And you will also, if this question has done its job, feel something your ancestors on the savannah never needed to feel. The weight of knowing what you are and the strange, unprecedented, perhaps still possible choice of becoming something else. That is not a virus. That is you.